Hello, 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 everybody. It's me, your favorite haiku influencer. How did influencer become a job title? I mean, really? And I am going to do a tier list. I love tier lists. It gives you an opportunity to just spout opinions and make it look authoritative. This will be going out on both of my channels, so you might see it in your feed twice. So, the basic programming language has a lot of different dialects, slightly different ways of doing the same thing. And if you know one, then you can generally learn another one fairly quickly. It's not like you know Python and now you have to learn Java or something. No, there are just dialects of basically the same language. Unintended, there'll be lots of those. And I thought, let's see what we have on Haiku and what they are used for. So, if you have been following my YAB programming channel, now called Basic Programming Channel, then you will know what we're going to start with. We're going to start with YAB, which is simply installable from the command line or from the Haiku Depot app. Right, this package will only get you the executable, which is a bare minimum. You probably want to get the IDE, you'll want to get the help files. Okay, I have it on good authority that a new version is in the pipeline, and there's just a few little things that they are still working on. So what is YAB primarily good at? It is for GUI apps. There we go. Graphical user interface apps. So it's got a window, it uses the mouse, it has menus, buttons, the whole catastrophe. That's the kind of app you write with YAB. At the moment, YAB comes without in-cursor support. And so it's not really suitable for CLI apps. I'm told that this is basically a licensing issue. And they are investigating it. It's not a technical issue. So we'll see what happens in the next version, but YAB may become useful again to write CLI apps. Right? And the difference between CLI apps and CLI utils is an application is something that comes up in your terminal and it stays there until you close it down. Right? A utility is something that runs, does its things, and shuts down without any interaction. Okay, so the other basic dialect that can be directly installed is Bacon. And the way this one works, you write your program in this dialect, and it doesn't compile them directly. It converts it to a C program, and then it compiles that. Now, the advantage of that is that the executables it produces are really, really tiny. Now, compared to some of the others. I mean, YAB doesn't really compile. It's a pseudo compilation where it sort of binds together the interpreter and your program. So the files it produces are absolutely enormous. Bacon is very good for making very small executables. The problem in writing Bacon programs is that keywords have to be capitalized. Now you may think that's not a big deal. 90% of all your error checking are going to be finding uncapitalized keywords. So be warned. In other dialects, usually 90% is finding partially quoted strings. You know, they forgot to put the double quotation mark at the end of a string. So now you've got that, and you've got keywords, you know, print, while, when, you know, that are in lowercase, and there is a switch you can use in the compilation to not have that happen, but then you run the risk of conflicting with C keywords. And then you're really up the creek without a paddle. So the other thing I found is its keystroke interception methods are not very good. It's very difficult to capture keystrokes like cursor up, page down, home, end. You know, I asked them on the forum, and we don't really use it for that. So it's difficult to make a CLI application unless you can make it like proudly uses VI keystrokes. Please, this is 2025, people. So what Bacon is really good for is non-interactive utilities. That's what I use it for. Because one, you're not going to need those complicated keystrokes, and B, you know, the size of the executable. That's a real factor. You know, if you write a little utility that does one tiny little thing and exits, you don't want to ship it with, you know, half a megabyte of overhead. And so much for the immediately installable dialects. Now, all the others I'm going to talk about is stuff that I have compiled myself from various nooks and crannies on the internet. So that is what we're going to look at next. And on this page, link in the show notes, I will put it up. You can find them all and more. You know, I've got Pascal interpreter, I've got very experimental languages. So today we're just going to look at the basic programs that I've got here. So we've looked at GUI apps, CLI apps, CLI utilities. Next, one is necro apps. What do I mean by that? That's basically dialects that enable you to run 40, even 50-year-old code from way back when dinosaurs roamed the earth and everybody was writing basic programs with line numbers. Yeah, I'm that old. And these dialects make it possible for you to run that old code. And then there's oddities. Little experiments that aren't really useful. But I like oddities, that's why I compile them. So that is what we're going to look at next. Right, new screen background to indicate that we're now working with a different set of basics. Let's have a look. What's first? Right, bass. This is written by a guy in Germany called Michael Hart. And it's compiled. It's interpreted, not compiled. And I've always had a soft spot for it, right? It's a nice old-fashioned kind of basic. Line numbers are not required. You can have proper functions and subroutines. It differentiates between them. And you can write really nice programs with it. Now, but what is it best for? I would say utilities. All right. So I've got two versions of that. And, just try them both. If you install the one, it'll uninstall the other. And I've written some libraries for it. They're a bit obsolete at the moment because I'm not developing that any further. I've transferred my development to something else. Alright, so we've seen that. Next one is Bass 55. Okay, so it requires line numbers. It's an interpreter. Capital letters only, no line numbers required. So it's a very compatible with an official standard, but that 55, yeah, that's a very old standard. So I'm going to say it's an oddity. It's for the more adventurous among you who want to sharpen your skills a little. Hello, I know you don't like being called an oddity, but stay there. There you go. Next. Basic. This is the oddiest of oddities because it's basic implemented in Python, Lua, Ruby, and PHP. Don't try to program anything with this, right? Because that's not what they are for. What they are for is if you want to have a kind of basic as an embedded scripting language in your own program. So if you're a developer who's writing in C++, whatever, and you say, my users need very simple scripting language for this program, then you grab the Lua version here and embed it in your own work. So definitely an oddity. Right, where is it now? Yeah, there we go. Bywater Basic. Okay. Can be configured to enable commands, blah, 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 available in many classic dialects of BASIC. So this is really explicitly Bywater Basic, something to play very old code. Next, we have Free Basic. Yes, Free Basic, which started out as an open source implementation of Microsoft Quick Basic, roughly at Quick Basic 4.5. Excuse me. And it's grown into its own set of dialects since. Right? So, we do have a version of this. CoolCoder 613 actually compiled it. It was way beyond my capabilities. I packaged it. When it's working well. You can actually write things with it. You can do things. At what level, though? Well, they do have GTK hooks, installable. GTK is not really smoothly integrated into Haiku. I mean, it works, but the clipboard integration is terrible, and I'm going to say Free Basic is best used to write CLI applications. Convert old Quick Basic code, yes, although much Quick Basic code that you can find on the net these days is just a sort of carrier for assembly libraries. So I don't know how much you're actually going to find. No, but Quick Basic was a wonderful language to write, CLI applications in. It really was. So I think that's, for us, the best avenue to use Free Basic. Right, SH Basic. Okay, this is... I put bacon in here, so I have to include SH Basic. Instead of converting BASIC to C, it converts it to Pascal. Object Pascal, to be precise, which means that theoretically you should then be able to compile it with Free Pascal, which we do have. Frankly, I don't know Free Pascal well enough to really test this. So where do we put it? Okay, we'll give it the benefit of the doubt and put it on the same level as bacon. Fair enough. But it helps if you know Pascal. Whereas bacon, you don't really need to know C. Alright. Then, tiny basic. Such a beautiful little thing. It really is so tiny. It's adorable. It doesn't even have strings. I mean, to write a functional program with this is... that's a challenge, you know. Real men write in tiny basic. Sorry, tiny basic, you are an oddity. Toy basic. Okay. Toy basic. No documentation whatsoever. It's written in free basic, so you could read that code and see what has been implemented. But if anybody wants to start a Haiku specific basic dialect, this might be a good place to start. You know, you learn free basic and then you use it to edit toy basic, which would be more or less maintainable. But for now, I'm going to say it's an oddity. All right. WS Basic. This is one actually has a lot of good things about it. And the interpreter, yeah. But yeah, it's actually a nice sort of dialect to work in. One thing that goes against it, definitely, is there's no documentation. I mean, there's a lot of examples, but so you basically already have to learn, you have to know basic already before you can learn this dialect. There's nothing to start people off from scratch. So I was going to say I was going to put it here, but the complete lack of documentation I'm sorry, if you can't be bothered to write a little help file telling me what keywords are available, then you're an oddity. I can't remember if SH Basic has much in the way of documentation, but it's functionally the same as bacon, so we'll just leave it there. And that leaves us with one, yeah, basic. But you're going to say, but wait, haven't we done that one already? We put it right here on top, right, GUI apps? No. Yeah, basic is the core on which YAB was developed, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, which has since itself continued to evolve. Right, so it's text mode only, and I have a version of it. Now, if you read the documentation, you'll see there's supposed to be a little splash screen creating graphics window. Yeah, that won't work in my port, because Haiku and bitmapped fonts are not big friends. Haiku can use bitmapped fonts, but I think they use it via free type 2 rather than this old system that YaBasic still expects to see. And this is the one I'm actually working with most at the moment, because I'm developing an IDE for it, which I'm writing in YAB. Right, where are we going to put it? I am going to put it here. And the reason for that is that if you know YAB, you already have the basics of YaBasic. Should be the other way around, but never mind. And you know, the way it incorporates the ncurses elements, it's very easy to place your cursor, to place your text. The colors, please, no ransom notes. Just keep the colors a bit muted. But it is a very nice dialect to work with for CLI applications. Okay, now for some of these, for YaBasic, Basic, and Bass, I'm developing sets of routines and libraries that will integrate them into the Haiku environment. Right, so if you want to call up a file panel, standard Haiku file panel, then you don't have to work out the system's call, because my routine will do that for you with same defaults. And some of those are already up on my systems, even though they're not finished. And others are going to be integrated into IDEs. I'm probably going to end up writing an IDE for at least these three, Bacon, Bass, and YaBasic, over the medium to long term, because once I've done one IDE, I can adapt it for the other two. Okay, so that is pretty much it. What do you think? Is there another dialect that you think we should have on Haiku? I'll give it a try. Don't say QB64. I've been trying to compile that for years and years. Needs better skills than mine. I keep looking for new basic dialects. Bit of an obsession. So this time next year, I may have found more, or you may have suggested more, and we will see what we can do about it. Because I know, if you program in BASIC, you will be a second-class citizen in the programming world of 2025. I'm resigned to that. But the simplicity of it, the ease of it, there's just nothing like it. And if you suggest that there should be a port of Microsoft Visual Basic, then get thee behind me, Satan. Okay, that's it for another video. influencer with much bigger influence than me always ends his videos. See you again.